This is Ellen Sibelius. I'm the owner and designer for Ellen's Woolly Wonders. And as you know, I design a lot of knitting patterns for animals and household decorations. And most of them are knitting patterns, but sometimes I use some crochet and some embroidery techniques. And today I'm going to discuss a couple of the embroidery techniques that I use in some of my patterns. And we're going to discuss couching stitch, French knots, lazy daisy stitch, and latch hook techniques. And those are some of the animals that have used these techniques. The couching stitch was used in the striping on the cat, and the French knots are used on the as the suckers on the octopus. The lazy daisy stitch can be used for making flowers, and the latch hook technique is used to make manes on horses and a variety of other things. So couching technique is a method of putting stripes on your piece and then tacking them down. As you can see, I have some stripes that I put on here that are just, this is a triple ply piece of yarn. This is 2 strands, double ply, and a single ply. And I used all of those when I did the cat. Couching, basically, you're going to take your needle that's threaded with a fine piece of yarn after you've put the long strips on, and you're going to come in through the bottom of the piece and take a little tiny stitch over the long strand. And then you're going to do it again, about a half inch farther down the strand. And then I'm going to do it one more time, right at the end. Now, in this, when I did the cats, I used a variety of different thicknesses of yarn to make the stripes so that they look different. And you can do the same thing here. I've done a double strand. And you want to kind of make sure that they're a straight line if possible. And then over here, I've done a single strand, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and bring the thread up through the bottom and make sure that the stitches are really little so that they pick up just enough of that to tack it down. And you can continue on. The next stitch we're going to talk about is French knots. Now, French knots can be used to make suckers on the bottom of an octopus. They can be used to make centers of flowers. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to have your yarn threaded. I use a 16 gauge embroidery needle a lot of times. You're going to bring the yarn up through the bottom. You're going to hold it not too tight, but wrap it twice around and then slip it right back through the same hole and kind of tug it so that there's no loose yarn there, and then bring it down and you end up with a French knot. All right, let's try that one more time. Bring it up. Let's do a multiple one. So you can do it once and make a small knot, or you can do multiple times. Let's see if we can keep this one from going all the way through. There we go. And make a bigger knot. So it's kind of up to you. You can play with that and do all sorts of different things with it. Lazy daisy stitch is a way of making flowers. And you come up through the center. Sorry, I've got yarn in behind me. Come up through the center, make a loop, go back in through the same hole, take a stitch away off to the side, and go back in through that hole, and you've made a petal. Now if you come back up through the center again, make another loop, that's lazy daisy stitch. Let's see if I can do one more. Maybe. Running out of yarn. All right, so that's Lazy Daisy Stitch. Now the fourth thing I was going to show you today was latch hooking. And latch hooking is a way that I use to make manes for a horse or hair on a dog. It can use it for flowers, all sorts of things. And basically what you do is you take a loop of yarn and a crochet hook, put your crochet hook through the piece, come back out right next to it, pick up the center of the piece of yarn, pull it through gently. This one's going to give me grief because it's felted. And now you have the loop on one side of the hole and the two strands on the other. You pick up your two strands, you pull it through the loop, and then you've made a fringe. And if you're going to make, if you have a horse that you've made a mane, you're making a mane on, you can do that multiple times in a row, and it will give you a mane. You can also use it to make a tail. I've used it on irises to make the fuzzy little frilly things in the center. But anyway, that just shows you a couple of different embroidery techniques that you can use. You may use a variety of different size needles. This is a 16 gauge embroidery needle. This is, I don't know the size of this one, probably a 21, but there are different size needles. So they're all kind of dull at the end. They're not real sharp. And then a variety of different size of crochet hooks to pull things through and to help you with some of this stuff. So, and that's my little demo for today.